An anti-Semitic attacker yelled Kanye 2024 while committing the attack, and we are going to talk about what happened. And importantly, this is not about Kanye being legally responsible for the attack or anything like it. This is about realizing that when high-profile celebrities like Kanye West make anti-Semitic comments, it contributes to normalizing and accepting anti-Semitism in society. That's the point that we are making here. Let's go to the Washington Post article. Attacker yells Kanye 2024 during anti-Semitic assault, police say. NYPD is investigating an alleged attack in Central Park this week in which a man in his mid-40s assaulted a 63-year-old man and spewed anti-Semitic comments before yelling out Kanye 2024, of course, a reference to Kanye's anti-Semitic rhetoric. The older man was walking in Central Park about 7:30 p.m. Wednesday when the other man allegedly hit him from behind, according to police. When the older man fell to the ground, he broke his hand and chipped a tooth. The attacker then uttered numerous anti-Semitic comments towards the man, according to police, before the attacker fled on a bicycle with a trailer featuring a sign reading "Hungry Disabled." Police say he referenced the artist formerly known as Kanye West, who has issued several anti-Semitic tirades, saying Kanye 2024. 63-year-old man has not been publicly identified. Anti-Semitic attacks in the U.S. are at an all-time high. So, when high-profile individuals make statements or they engage in behaviors that are perceived as anti-Semitic or that are anti-Semitic, it can give the impression that this type of bigotry is acceptable and mainstream. And in fact, when it comes specifically to anti-Semitism, it's very popular, it's very in vogue to say, we don't even really need to treat it as seriously as other isms because Jews are privileged in 2022. We've talked about that extensively, and we've talked about how that very refrain is in and of itself based on anti-Semitic tropes and stereotypes. But this is why it's not as simple as many of the emails I get from some of you lovely people who say, it doesn't matter that Kanye's anti-Semitic. Fine, maybe he's anti-Semitic. Some people email me and they say, the stuff Kanye is saying is true. Okay. There's people who recognize, yes, these are anti-Semitic tropes, but it doesn't matter. Just Kanye, it doesn't matter. It's a vicious circle, in fact, and it matters very much. The use of anti-Semitic language or imagery by celebrities fuels the spread of that very misinformation and those conspiracy theories and tropes, which then, in the followers of these celebrities, creates a new cycle of emboldening and furthering and exacerbating those very beliefs, which only creates more of it. It's a vicious circle. And we've seen many examples of this. It's not only Kanye. I mean, listen, we can go back to Henry Ford if you really want to, but without going back that far, Mel Gibson in 2006, Mel Gibson had this incident where he was arrested drunk driving, and he made a bunch of anti-Semitic statements to the officer. He said to the guy, "Are you a Jew?" Crazy, but I believe the officer was Jewish, which is just, I mean, that's another whole incredible coincidence. Saying the Jews are responsible for the wars in the world and all this stuff. And, you know, he eventually apologized. And I think Mel Gibson's acting again. I don't know. But at the time, it created a lot of this. Mel Gibson's willing to say stuff a lot of people in Hollywood aren't willing to say. Louis Farrakhan, we've talked about many times before. He's the leader of the Nation of Islam. Very long history of anti-Semitic statements, blamed the Jews for 9/11. Typical stuff. Jews are actually the ones in control of the government, that type of thing. He has a significant following. And there are lots of folks in the Nation of Islam who maybe don't come in with particular views about Jews, but they end up informed by Louis Farrakhan, and then you have a whole new generation of people who repeat the same stuff. And Ice Cube had an incident. Rapper Ice Cube promoted some conspiracy theories about Jews on social media, claimed Jews are responsible for the slave trade, which isn't true. And he responded by saying, "I'm not promoting anti-Semitism. I'm raising questions about the history of slavery, questions that are very extensively answered by history." So it's a vicious circle of stuff. The vicious circle itself perpetuates the belief, and then it creates more of a problem. And anti-Semitism, like other forms of bigotry, is often based on negative stereotypes and prejudices about Jews. The prejudices themselves make it easier for people to believe the conspiracy theories. And even if there's no evidence to support them, it's a feedback loop. It's like if you put a microphone up to a speaker and then, a feedback loop. There are also psychological factors, because research has found that people are more likely to believe conspiracy theories when they're feeling anxious or uncertain in a time of crisis or change. They become more susceptible to believing this stuff. And we have a right-wing party in the United States, the Republican Party, that for a decade now has been based on using fear and making people afraid that they're going to lose their way of life or their lives or whatever. And that actually primes people to be even more likely to fall for this stuff in the first place. So the full circle of the Kanye anti-Semitism, and we'll follow up on the story probably on a forthcoming bonus show. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can click the subscribe button below or above or wherever it is on your screen. And if you want to support my work even more strongly, the best way is to get a membership at joinpacman.com and subscribe to the podcast for The David Pakman Show. There you can check out interviews, longer clips, and much more. It's on all the big podcasting platforms. Just search for The David Pakman Show, and all the links are also down below in the video description.